into the path of Christensen. He's going to try and throw it, and he does. Oh, Bamford can't get away from City once again. And it's Calvin Phillips. I'm going to try and cut off the passing lane. I do. But now he gives it to Haaland. Down the line on the right-hand side. Gives it to Kulusevski. He goes inside very, very easily. Too easily. Gives it to Kane. My word. Welcome back, everyone, to a brand new episode of my FIFA 23 career mode with Leeds United Football Club. And as you can see, our first game of this episode will be Stoke in the Emirates FA Cup. But just before we get to that, let's take a quick look at the Premier League table to see how we're getting on. And as you can see, we are very much in 13th. We've begun our slide down the table from what was a brilliant start to the season. To me, we are still defying expectations, as I expected us to be, well, pretty much in the relegation zone, or at least fighting just above it for the majority of the season. But for the board, they're expecting us to be in top half. So some lofty objectives from the board, but when is it not in FIFA? As you can see though, we are in Jan, and that means it is the start of the January transfer window. So I'm going to quickly head over to my squad, because what I was planning to do in January is potentially bring in either a centre-back or look to bring in a striker, as Bamford hasn't really been playing particularly well. However, I have a problem, because obviously if anyone had been paying attention, or obviously if anyone had seen the last episodes, you'll see Tyler Adams and also Rocha as well are now both out with long-term injuries. So Ramsey is my only real first choice central midfielder, and Dallas, he's only got 6 months left on his contract, and he's probably someone I'm going to look to move on. So I'm actually thinking I'm going to have to go into the market for another central midfielder. But the problem I have is that I've only got 16 mil to spend, which doesn't really leave me with too many options. I've kind of had my scouts doing kind of reports across the last few months to try and see if they can find any central midfielders. And as you can see, they have found several, but the problem with the majority of these are they are way out of my budget, especially Camavinga. I don't even know why they bother with him. So yeah, it's kind of left me a little bit tight. So if I'm going to go to the transfer hub, you'll see I've shortlisted lots of central defenders because I was planning on buying a central defender, and also lots of strikers because I was planning on buying a striker. And you'll see I've still got central midfielders that I've shortlisted from the summer transfer window in our very first episode. However, the problem with these are Kenneth Taylor was going to be my next choice. He's now out on loan, so I can't get him. And some of the others have significantly raised their price tag. So it's it's a bit difficult. They are still doable, but it is going to cost me more. Now, my number one target here is Fagioli. He's going to cost me between, say, 13 maybe to 10 mil. So I think I'm going to go ahead and try and get him. He gives me versatility. He can play in central midfield, central attacking midfield, and central defensive midfield. So I'm going to go ahead and try and negotiate with him. Hopefully I can get the move done. And here we go. You can see we do manage to get the job done for 10.9 mil. A very good signing, if I do say so myself. He's 76 rated. They say he's a good squad player, but to be completely honest, I think he can definitely fight for a first team spot. I don't really know why they're saying it's only a decent buy, and they're saying I could have saved 2.7 mil, but they were the ones that suggested to me that I can get him for 10.9, so I don't really know what is going on there. The only downside to this deal is that I did have to agree to a release clause of, I think it was about just over 31 mil, so a bit disappointing. But what my hope is, if I can, well, now that I've got him through the door, give it maybe a year, if I can get him to re-sign on a new contract on more wages, maybe we can look to disregard that release clause. But for now, pretty good signing, I think, and I'm pretty sure with the transfer budget we've got, that is going to be our one and only signing this January. So let's go ahead, let's get on to the game against Stoke, and let's get down to business. And here you can see Stoke starting 11 just before we kick off here. I think they had Dwight Gale as a substitute, so familiar face from, I think his time, I think he was at Palace. Was he at Newcastle at one point? I can't remember. I think he was definitely at Palace. But let's head over to our starting 11 if we can. And you'll see quite a lot of rotation for me, as I do have Bournemouth coming up, so I do want to make sure that I'm at full strength when I go and play them. You'll see that Robles comes in goal. Luca Netz at left back. Fagioli will make his debut in central midfield. Aronson comes in for Rodrigo, as well as Patrick Bamford coming in up front for Gerhard. So fair amount of rotation, but again, it really should be a game that we should be winning. So yeah, hopefully we can get a decent result. I would love to say that this is going to be a pretty decent chance, but I'm pretty shocking at free kicks. And that's actually quite cool that they've got the man underneath the free kick wall there. That's pretty cool. Right, I'm going to go for inside curler. Going to put some decent power on it. And that was completely and utterly useless. Dangerous area. Looks like Sterling out wide. I don't know where Luca Netz has gone. To be completely honest, Luca Netz has he's struggled quite a fair bit since coming in. He's had 1 or 2 decent games, but for a lot of the time, he's he has struggled quite a lot. Definitely still learning and developing his trade. And that is a silly challenge, and that is definitely going to be a penalty. It's a poor challenge from Llorente. I don't know what on earth he was doing. And it's a definite penalty for Stoke City, and that is not what we want early doors inside the first half. And they're going to step up and take this here, straight down the middle, and Robles easily catches that one. I was trying to dive to the left-hand side, to be completely honest, but for some weird reason, he just didn't seem to move. But I'm glad he didn't. Straight down the middle, and it still remains 0-0. He goes down the left-hand side to Popescu, who, in the absence of Sinisterra, is starting to make a name for himself in this starting 11. And that was very poor, but fortunately we win it back. Bamford tries to play that inside to Jacob Ramsey. He does. Ramsey's going to shoot. Good save from the goalkeeper. It's our first real chance of the game. And it's a half-decent chance, to be fair. Ramsey could have done better there. I'm trying to look for the ball into Bamford, but I just couldn't find it. Can Aronson get there? He can't. Luca Netz is now out of position. Thomas to drive forward on this right-hand side. Can Stoke fashion anything here? No, they cannot. Good recovery challenge from Luca Netz. Just as I was saying earlier, he wasn't playing particularly well. That was very good for him. But Robles, don't know what on earth he was doing. Brown, straight at the goalkeeper. Big chance for Stoke there. What on earth was my reserve goalkeeper doing? Very poor, and we definitely got away with one there. Jacob Ramsey into Aronson, into Fagioli. We have a very young central midfield trio there, but one definitely for the future. Aronson into Bamford. It's got to be one. It is one. It's a great finish from Patrick Bamford, and I think on the balance of play, well, I can't even say it's pretty well deserved, because we actually have been pretty balanced. Stoke, if anything, have had the better opportunities, but I don't care. We lead here 1-0 after it's a lovely ball through from Aronson. Nice little link-up play between Christensen actually coming in on the right-hand side. Beautiful ball into to Bamford, unmarked. Smashes it past the goalkeeper. It's 1-0. Thompson down this right-hand side. Popescu tries to put a challenge in. It's not good enough. He cuts back inside on Luca Netz and does really well there. Feeds it into Soprina, and that is a sensational goal. Absolutely no stopping that shot from Brown. Unbelievable stuff. Stoke City catching us completely off guard early on in this second half. What on earth were we doing? A fantastic finish from Brown. Left the goalkeeper with absolutely no chance. Hit it right just over his head into the top left-hand corner. Absolutely nothing he could do there. It's poor defending. Luca Netz easily able to go round. And it's a phenomenal finish from Brown. And it's 1-1 here. Liam Cooper. Fagioli now out wide to Popescu. Some of our new signings trying to combine. It's poor from Popescu, who's been pretty quiet all game, to be completely honest. I sung his praises earlier on, saying that he's well deserved his starting place, but annoyingly, he's been pretty poor so far. Luca Netz, who's had an indifferent game, he's been good going forward, not too good defensively. But we now have it with Fagioli, and he gets challenged, and absolutely none of the AI react here. And what are my defenders doing? And it's too easy. Stoke absolutely drive through the centre of my defence. What on earth are my defenders doing? I've complained about this numerous times. I'm trying to switch to them. I want the AI to press. It's just the press is non-existent. I don't know what they are doing. Look at this. They both back off. I'm trying to switch it, and each time I try and switch it, it switches to the other one, and they just don't do anything. Stoke drive through, smash it into the top right-hand corner. Not the best goalkeeping, to be completely honest. Don't know what he's doing. Stoke take an unlikely lead. Into Thompson. Into the goal scorer, Soprina. Out wide now to Sterling. Sterling goes past Luca Netz fairly easily. Back into Soprina. Into Thompson. They strike straight at the goalkeeper. It's another warning sign, to be fair. And we have been very slack in this second half. It's been a really poor performance so far. Can Jacob Ramsey try and change that? It's a lovely pass into the path of Christensen. He's going to try and throw it, and he does. Oh, Bamford, you need to hit that first time. I was smashing the circle button for him to do so, and he just took a touch, and the keeper is able to collect it. That is a huge chance that goes begging. Upfield to the substitute, Ayling. Has he got any pace whatsoever? He doesn't. Oh, he almost does, to be fair. And he manages to keep hold of the ball. Can we get this one in? Into Fagioli. Going to look for some sort of space. Aronson, I think our striker was just offside. Stuart Dallas, the substitute to strike. It's a good strike and it's a good save. We do have another corner. It's a corner here. Oh, this is do or die at this point. 83 minutes played. We're 2-1 down here to Stoke. We need to get a result, and it's a phenomenal header from the substitute Ayling. He's come on the field. He's only been on the field for about 5 minutes, and it's a powerful header right past the goalkeeper. Just as I say, we need something special. We get something special. It's a brilliant corner in. It's a smashing header, and we draw level here in the FA Cup. Can we go on to win this game? We've got 5 minutes to do it. Hooper into Luca Netz. Can we counter-attack? Probably going to be the last attack of the game. It's Gelhardt, the substitute. Just trying to dink that over to the pace of Dan James. He can't get there. It's intercepted. And it's away from Stoke, but it's not away very far. Fagioli picks it up in the centre of midfield. Gives it to Gelhardt. Gives it to Dan James. Looks for Gelhardt again. He's going to pass it back to Dan James. It's 3-2. It's 3-2 here in the dying seconds of stoppage time. Dan James smashes it into the top left-hand corner. It's a fantastic piece of play. I said we had 5 minutes to get the job done, and we get the job done. Phenomenal stuff there, right at the death. What character on display here from this Leeds United team. We've been almost down and out on a terrible run of form, and Dan James with a smashing goal that really will lift the spirits here. What a goal. It's 3-2. And that is that. We win the game in the dying seconds. It's a great performance. So much character, so much heart. We come down from 2-1 in the last 5 minutes of the game to win it 3-2 here at Stoke. And we go through to the next round of the FA Cup. So after a dramatic last gasp winner for us in the FA Cup, we are now back to the Premier League. And we're back to the Vitality Stadium for an away game against Bournemouth. You can see the starting 11 I've got here. Lots of my first team players come back into the team. It's a game I'm going to sim, and it's a game we badly, badly need another result. Hopefully we can take the positive momentum into it. And we do not take any positive momentum into it whatsoever. It is a thumping 4-1 loss to a Bournemouth team that were in the relegation zone. I'm pretty sure they were bottom of the Premier League as well. So this is a huge, huge loss, and especially now we've got City and we've got Spurs in our upcoming games. This puts us under real pressure. So on we go then to our next Premier League game, and it is of course a huge home game against Manchester City. And to be fair, we actually got a draw out of Manchester City last time at the Etihad, so I'd like to say I'm feeling positive, but the run of form we've been on has been pretty shocking so far. So I'm pretty nervous. Let's be completely honest. Foden on this left-hand side. Oh, that's a nice play from him. Lays it off to João Cancelo. Drives into my penalty area. No one making a challenge. Meslier was just there, just in ahead of Haaland, and City already putting a marker down in terms of the pressure they're going to put on us early doors. Gundogan lays it off to Phillips. Phillips gives it to Alvarez, who lines up the shot, and it's a phenomenal power shot outside the penalty area. And with just 8 minutes played, City are already 1-0 up, and I've got a feeling we are in for a long, hard game here. We've got nowhere to go. Meslier almost caught out by De Bruyne, but we just managed to get it away. He brings this forward very well. Gelhardt into, I was going to try and lay that off to Jacob Ramsey, but put a bit too much on it. Firpo will cross in to absolutely no one. Firpo to throw this across to Christensen. He gets there ahead of Phil Foden, lays it off to Stuart Dallas. Going to try and play a ball down the line into Gelhardt. Can he get ahead of De Vries? He can. Gelhardt turns, trying to look for options in the box. He finds Rodrigo. He finds Dallas. And he finds Calvin Phillips. Gives it back to Lewis. That's a nice interchanging play between the two of them down this right-hand side. Lewis cuts inside past Firpo, makes it look easy. But Firpo with a strong challenge. And Alvarez with a strong challenge on him. Gundogan back to Alvarez. 2-0. It's a brilliant, brilliant goal. And once again, it's all too easy for Manchester City to carve us open. I thought Firpo was defending very well, and he just took one too many touches. And Alvarez was able to get in ahead of him. And Manchester City now lead 2-0. And this makes life even more difficult for us. De Bruyne into Haaland. Haaland out wide to Phil Foden. He gets there just in time. Haaland's definitely got the beating of Struijk, and he's got the beating of my goalkeeper. It's a phenomenal finish from Erling Haaland. Do we expect anything less? City now 3-0 up, and Struijk had absolutely no chance. As soon as Phil Foden was able to get hold of the ball, managed to keep it in play and slotted it through, it was over. Haaland was easily going to beat Struijk one-on-one. He's got the pace, he's got the power to get away from him, and he's got a phenomenal shot. Powers it past the goalkeeper, and annoyingly, it's 3-0. Gundogan down the line on the right-hand side. Now Lewis has it. Can he get a ball in? Llorente's going to try and block him off. He doesn't. Alvarez has it driving into the penalty area. Junior Firpo almost got a challenge in. Lewis has it once again. City playing some lovely stuff here. There's literally nothing we can do to try and get hold of the ball. And De Bruyne, with a strong shot, goes straight to the goalkeeper. Rodrigo now. Dallas can't get away from City once again. It's Calvin Phillips. I'm going to try and cut off the passing lane. I do. But now he gives it to Haaland. And that's a phenomenal save from Meslier. So close to it being 4-0. I'm surprised he didn't go for a power shot there, to be completely honest. To Junior Firpo. City are putting so much pressure on us. I literally cannot get out of my own half here. Ramsey into Dallas. Going to try and turn. Go down the right-hand side. We do. Right, now we've got some options. Christensen down this right-hand side into Rodrigo. Can he find a cross in? He finds Christensen back ahead. Into Dallas. Into the feet of Gerhard. Ruben Diaz now gets it away for City. Nice little back flick to Grealish, to Phillips, back to Haaland, into Gundogan, to Grealish. City moving the ball so quickly, there is literally nothing I can do about it. Literally by the time I switch the AI and switch the player, they've already passed it to someone else. But fortunately now, we get it away. The substitute Patrick Bamford looking out wide. He finds Junior Firpo. Can he find Harrison? He can. This is pretty much the only attack we're going to have. Harrison into Bamford. Nothing doing there. Did he have a throw? Yeah, Cancelo going to throw that short. And they do throw it short, but fortunately we managed to pick it up with Dan James. Can we keep it in play? We can. Give it back to Meslier, the goalkeeper. He's going to put it out wide. Oh, we can't get there in time. Grimaldo is there ahead of Junior Firpo. City are first to absolutely everything, but Struijk with a nice tackle, to be fair to him. It's pretty much the first time I've said that all game, and that is the end of the game. It's a 3-0 drumming here at Ellen Road from Manchester City. They get us back for the 1-1 draw earlier on in the season, and it's another loss in the Premier League, and we've got Tottenham up next. But just before we move on to the game against Tottenham, we have actually got a game against Southampton to play in the FA Cup, obviously because we beat Stoke last time. It's an away game at St Mary's, and as you can see, I've gone full rotation. First starts of the season for Somerville and Greenwood on the right-hand side and in central midfield. My priority is to stay in the Premier League, and with our poor form at the moment, I think the FA Cup is just something that I'm going to have to look for as a bonus, really. So I'm going to play a second-string team. I'm going to sim the game. Hopefully we can get a result, but I need my players fit, fresh and ready for the Spurs game. And to my surprise, we do actually get a half-decent result. It is a draw. We are going to be taking them back to Ellen Road for an FA Cup replay. It's a replay, to be honest, we could do without, as we've got some important games in the Premier League coming up. But it's a replay I will take. I think I'd rather, to be fair, have a decent shot in the FA Cup, have a nice little cup run to give us some morale. 1-1 here against Southampton. Hopefully that gives us some positive morale, positive momentum heading into Tottenham. And so it is back to Ellen Road for the final game of this episode, and it is a huge, huge game against Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. Tottenham, obviously, again, a team that we got the better of last time we played them. We beat them 2-1 at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, unbelievably, and I'm hoping for the same sort of result here. It's a result that we desperately, desperately need as we continue our slide down the Premier League table. And here is our starting 11. It's Meslier in goal. It's the usual back four for me, no changes there. And in central midfield, Fagioli and Jacob Ramsey are the two to be paired together. Dan James, Aronson and Jack Harrison are the attacking trio behind Gerhard. I felt Aronson and Harrison needed to come in for Rodrigo and Popescu, both of whom have been pretty quiet in the last few games. So I just wanted to give us a little bit of a fresh attacking impetus heading to the game against Tottenham. And as for Spurs, it looks like they line up 5-2-3. No surprise there. Matty Cash and Matt Hummels, two new signings for them. They're very interesting signings, to be fair. And of course, the attacking trio of Kulusevski, Kane and Son are going to be very, very dangerous heading forward. So, yeah, it's going to be a tricky, tricky game. It's a game that we desperately need a result from. We need to try and see if we can get out of this Premier League slump. as we've lost. I don't even know how many games we've lost on the bounce recently, but it's quite a lot. Turns and gives that to Firpo. Firpo goes in field to Aronson, who picked up a nice little pocket of space there. And Aronson's going to lay this out wide to Dan James. I'm going to look for the on-running Christensen. I find Christensen to throw this into Aronson. He can't get his head on it. Højbjerg now down the line on the right-hand side. Gives it to Kulusevski. He goes inside very, very easily. Too easily. Gives it to Kane. My word. What an unbelievable strike from the outside of the boot from Harry Kane. And he forced Meslier into a top draw save. That's a phenomenal save. Look at that strike. That was going right into the top right-hand corner. Conte looks at the ground. He can't believe it. I can't believe it. What a save. Llorente to Christensen. Christensen, that's poor from him, gives it straight to Heung-min Son, a man you do not want to be giving the ball to. Kulusevski into Kane. Back to Højbjerg with the power shot. It's a good save from Meslier. Another big, big save from him. Spurs putting the pressure on early doors. Kulusevski whips that one in. It's away from Dan James. Only out as far as Longley. But Aronson is there first. Can we somehow try and trigger a counter-attack here? Aronson to Dan James. Dan James looks back down the line to Aronson. He's going to find Aronson. He's got space to run into, but he doesn't have very many options in the box. Going to try and cut this back in on my left foot into Dan James. He can't get there. Spurs away once again. Firpo into Aronson. That's a good ball to Aronson now. And Jacob Ramsey can run forward here. He's got space to run into on this left-hand side. Nothing silly. Bends it onto his right. Just in the path of Kulusevski, but we were one step ahead there. Struijk, not one step ahead. Basuma was one step ahead. And Kane, my word, that's a difficult tackle. That's a horrendous challenge. How on earth is that not a foul? Heung-min Son to throw it in. Kulusevski, oh, for crying out loud. Kulusevski with a phenomenal strike, powers it past the goalkeeper, but I do not know how on earth that was not a foul from Harry Kane. It was a blatant foul inside our penalty area on my defender, and the referee refuses to give it. And Heung-min Son, with acres of space to find the pass, he finds the pass to Kulusevski, who smashes it past Meslier. And once again, we find ourselves down. It's Tottenham 1, Leeds 0. Son looking likely he's going to go short here. He does go short to Kulusevski, and he absolutely does. Jacob Ramsey does Firpo into the path of Son, and it's a big save once again from Meslier. He is very much keeping us in the game here. It's really frustrating. I actually think the first half we were playing pretty well, but Spurs are the ones that are carving out the decent opportunities. Unfortunately for us, it is just 1-0 for now. Heung-min Son goes short for the corner. And we only get it out, but only out as far as Davies. Højbjerg to Longley, back to Højbjerg, and it's into the path of Christensen. And Meslier boots that one clear inside the Spurs half. Jacob Ramsey to the substitute Rodrigo, takes it onto his right. Don't know what on earth that was. I was trying to get it on his right foot to have a strike. And yeah, it was pretty terrible. Kane lays it off to Bentancur. Nice little through ball to Heung-min Son. Gives it back to Bentancur. I know he's looking for Kane, and it's a good interception from Llorente, and it's the chance for us to break here. Rodrigo tries to play the ball out wide to Popescu. Popescu gets there first ahead of Cash. Tries to check back onto his right foot. Gives it to Firpo. Firpo to try and throw this one in. Straight at the goalkeeper. Meslier. Nice little calm composure there. Dinks that over the head of Bentancur. Llorente now tries to drive down the right-hand side. Gives it in field to Fagioli. Fagioli's going to try and fashion a chance. Lays it all the way out wide to Popescu. It's a decent ball. Popescu to try and find an option. Finds Rodrigo, who finds the back of the net. It's a fantastic goal after some lovely build-up play from us. And it's a goal that we desperately, desperately need. And we bring the scores back to 1-1 here at Ellen Road. The fans go absolutely wild. Rodrigo celebrates in front of the cameras. He's been pretty quiet, as has Popescu in the last couple of games. That's why they dropped to the bench today. And they've come on as substitutes. They've combined to bring us back into the game. It's a huge goal, and it's a goal we so desperately needed. About 5 minutes left in this game. Spurs have a throw inside my half. Heung-min Son gets there ahead of Christensen. Harry Kane tries to turn, gives it to Højbjerg. Great save from Meslier to Popescu. Popescu into Gerhard. Nice little turn away from him. He's going to look for the run from Dan James out wide on the right-hand side. He finds Dan James, who can only find Hugo Lloris. That was probably going to be the last chance of the game. And to be honest, from the form that we've been in so far this episode and so far this season, I will definitely take the draw. It is a draw. It's 1-1 here. It's 1-1 here at Ellen Road. It's another point picked up against Spurs. And it's a point we so desperately need. And after that Spurs game, let's have a quick look at the Premier League table to see where we stand. You can see the next game, which will be the first game of the next episode, will be the 4th round replay in the FA Cup against Southampton. But before we get to that, we can see we are 14th. We are definitely being dragged down into a relegation battle. We're now only 8 points clear of the relegation zone. Still above where we want to be, but we need to try and do something in these upcoming episodes to try and see if we can pull some momentum, pull some form back into our Premier League campaign. And if we go right up to the top of the table, you can see it's a fight between the two Manchester clubs. United and City sit 1 and 2, Liverpool 3rd, Spurs 4th, Arsenal 5th, Leicester doing very well in 6th position, Chelsea only find themselves in 7th. But if we go back down, you'll see Brentford, Palace and Nottingham Forest in the drop zone. Bournemouth have managed to claw their way out, probably after the 4-1 win against us. But as for us, it's 14th, and it's something we so desperately need to do something about. And as you can see, it is the very last day in January, and that means it is transfer deadline day. As you can see, if I just head over to my office, because I made the earlier signing at the beginning, I now only have 3 million to spend, so there will not be any additional incoming transfers for myself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward this, and I'm going to see what signings are made by other clubs. But before I do that, Harry Kane has moved from Spurs to Atletico Madrid. What on earth is going on? FIFA is throwing up some crazy transfers here. 84.7 million for Harry Kane. I know he's 29, but that is incredibly cheap. And that is absolutely insane for Spurs to go and sell him. And there we go then, January deadline day all finished. And if we quickly head over to the transfer business, you'll see Fagioli is obviously the only incoming for me. And I actually got mistaken. I thought it was Dallas who only had 6 months left on his contract, but it's actually Ayling. And he's going to be heading to Celta Vigo on a free transfer at the start of next year. So he's 31, he's only rated 75, so I'm not too despondent about that. But it's definitely something I'm going to have to look into in the summer transfer window, and a right back is definitely something I'm going to have to bring in. And you can see my backup, my 3rd choice goalkeeper, has gone on loan as well. He's gone on a 2-year loan. So yeah, apart from that, nothing really major happening, to be completely honest, for me. But as for the other clubs, as you saw earlier, some crazy deals. Firstly, for Harry Kane, I'm going to try and filter by price, but it doesn't let me filter by date and price, which is kind of annoying. So I'm just going to have to filter by date rather than price, and just see if there are any other transfers that happen. So Savic going to United for 23.4. Aston Villa, Bernardo. Let me try and see. Newcastle making a big signing in Dimabe, 21.5. Banat going to Dortmund. Kane, I think, is the big talking point of the January transfer window. 84.7 mil to Atletico Madrid. I wonder if Spurs brought in anyone to replace him. I can't quite see if they have just yet. Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain's gone to Monaco. What else is there? It doesn't really look like there were too many big deals, to be completely honest. If I cycle through this, Lozano to Manchester City, 23.7. Let me have a quick look. Hazard to Milan. That's quite a big one. But apart from that, Oscar, he's gone from China to Leipzig. That's a very interesting one. But apart from that, no real big signings, to be completely honest. That's kind of disappointing. Well, nothing else apart from the big Harry Kane one really happening, to be completely honest. And it's kind of annoying that they didn't make that transfer just before we played them, as Harry Kane was definitely a big factor when we did play them. But it is what it is. But that is the end of this episode. I'm going to quickly head over to the calendar to see what we've got coming up in the next episode. As you can see, we've got 4 games. We've got obviously the FA Cup replay against Southampton. We've got an away game in the league against United, home game against Villa, and an away game against Leicester City. So more exciting games to come. Hopefully we can get a win against Southampton, which will help us build on what has been a half-decent FA Cup run so far. But that is that for the end of this episode. If you have enjoyed this episode, please feel free to like and subscribe. It will do the channel a world of good. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.